Hello and welcome to the GrapeSEED Official Podcast. In this final episode of the All These Things series, we'll focus on Units 31 to 40. If you have made it through the first 30 units in GrapeSEED and are looking to start Unit 31, congratulations. Your students have come so far, and it's worth reflecting on that growth. Not many years ago, they came into a GrapeSEED classroom for the first time with probably little to no English foundation, and now here they are in Unit 31. Strong speakers, listeners, readers, and writers. Your students' growth has been mirrored by the evolution of the GrapeSEED curriculum, providing content and activities that continually challenge them and encourage them to grow. From Unit 31 to 40, GrapeSEED takes another step with the students, with new exciting changes and higher sophistication. Let's look at the overall picture first. In these units, we are back down to 30 lessons per unit. Units 31 to 40 do not come with pre-made lesson plans, but there are class overviews available in the Digital Resources section of the portal under the Lesson Planning tab for each unit. These have suggested components to teach in each lesson from 1 to 30. They do not contain specific instructions on how to teach each material and in what order you should do them in, so you will need to create your own lesson plans using the scaffold of materials in the overview. I call it a scaffold because a simple list of materials to teach isn't a lesson plan. To be truly successful, you will need to plan out how specifically you will teach each material, including your questions and transitions, and you will need to take into account the specific strengths and weaknesses of your own unique class. Remember your teacher manual and your writer answer book available on the portal to help guide you. One more general thing to note before we look at the tools available is that the concept of a cycle with the adventure readers and writers in Units 21 to 30 shifts. We will get into the details in a bit here, but the writer contains more activities for students, both in terms of number and substance. In Units 31 to 40, we have a 3-day cycle. Again, we will talk about each piece in detail later, but on day 1, you will complete the Get Ready to Read Writer section and read the appropriate chapter in the Adventure Reader. On day 2, you will complete the Grow Your Vocabulary section, followed by the Use the Language Writer section. On day 3, you will review the chapter students read on day 1, and then every other chapter, do the student assessment. So let's look at our tools. We still have some verbal skills components to be taught during the lesson, but they look pretty different from previous units. The only traditional GrapeSEED material remaining in these final units are songs. One really cool thing about the songs in these units is that there are different versions of the audio file available to you on the portal. As always, there is the normal recording called the original version. There is a karaoke version that is an instrumental track with a reduced vocal track. You also have the piano version, which is simply a vocal track with piano. And finally, there is a reduced tempo version that has the full voice and instrumental tracks just at a slower tempo. The songs here in these upper units can be longer and trickier to get down, both in terms of lyrics and in melody. You'll want to make sure you practice a lot before starting to teach a new unit to be ready to deliver these effectively to your students. When introducing songs to your students, you can start by singing it with the original recording for them. But over the next few exposures, you'll want to sing together with the reduced tempo version. Once they are comfortable with it, you can alternate between the karaoke version and singing it without any of the recordings. Beyond this, a lot of the recommendations on teaching songs in lower units still apply here. You will want to use pointing, gestures, facial expressions, and props to help convey the meaning of the language in the song. When students sing, you'll want to be listening in and informally assessing their accuracy and pronunciation, providing corrections as necessary while balancing their affective filters. You'll want to say the lyrics sometimes instead of always singing them, and also look for opportunities to use that same language at different points throughout your class, outside of the song. You can pre-plan some questions to check for understanding and encourage language use as well. One final note is that no matter what recording you are using on a particular day in class, you want to make sure that the volume of the recording never overpowers your students' voices. You need to be able to clearly hear them to get good data for your informal assessments. Remember that the end goal of songs isn't to make your students excellent at singing each song. It is for them to understand the language in it and be able to use it. Learning the song is just a step along that path. The other verbal skills tool in these units is a brand new one: conversations and partner conversations. These are dialogue scenarios in different situations and contexts filled with GrapeSEED read-write words students have been learning in past units. Conversations are where you start, and after enough exposure, you move on to the related partner conversation. So let's start with talking about the first step, conversations. You'll shoot for doing at least 3 different conversations per lesson. The class overviews I mentioned before will help split these up for you. For example, Unit 31's class overview recommends 3 conversations in Lesson 1 and 4 others in Lesson 2. When you introduce these to your students, you'll want to help set up the scenario and help them understand the context the conversation is happening in. You'll read it for them while students read along. You can ask simple questions or generate some discussion with the class to ensure they understand what is going on.
Goodbye, my friends, goodbye. I'm sad to say goodbye. It was a good day, but now I will say goodbye, my friends, goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.